Good morning and welcome to this, your daily briefing. There's a fair bit of rubbish doing the rounds at the moment, and I think it would be useful if we just go through a few bits and pieces because it will aid us on our little journey, which is a dreadful phrase. Sorry about that. Roma are interested in Eric Dier, and this comes from Forza Roma. In truth, I think this is actually recycled from the Sun about a week ago, and even they had the good grace. They included Dier in the deal. Being that this new club of Mourinho's were now suddenly interested in two of our players, which is possibly one of the laziest templates for football transfer rumours that you can lay your hand to. Even the Sun had the good grace, I think it was 2 days after they ran it, to then say, oh, no, Spurs wouldn't be interested in selling. So maybe that was the Sun's strategy, to run it, then kind of pull it a bit. But Forza Roma are going with it. I can't see anybody wanting Eric Dier. And I can see Daniel Levy, this is really telling you what you don't know, but I can see Daniel Levy wanting a disproportionately large, stupid, crazy amount of money for a player who has gone sideways, backwards, sideways and backwards. I've talked you through the foul-ups that he's made this season, and every time I mention one of them, a little comment pops up from somebody who says, yeah, he did that at Liverpool, he did that against blah, blah, blah. And, it just doesn't make sense that anybody would want him. That said, perhaps the pace of Serie A would be better for him. I don't know. I think so little of Eric that I can't even give that any headspace. And then we're into the business of who's going to be the next Tottenham manager. And this struck a note. And I've noticed, I have to say, thank you very much to Leeds fans who were appreciative, I think is the right word, of the way that I dealt with the club talking about it. I don't know if it's common knowledge outside of this room. I used to live in Leeds. And I've got a massive amount of time for the city and that football club. I think you guys are very fortunate with what you've got. And since the turbulence with your owners has settled, you've got yourselves into a really nice groove. And I think that you're the envy of many other Premier League clubs. And Football Insider, it's just an insidious piece of junk. And I've noticed, I've nothing against Football Insider, and I'm a cynic, right? But they've assembled a panel of writers and sort of correspondents and whatever, which lends the site enormous credibility. But it is then obvious to me, who's been doing this since 2005, 2005, that they're also using the opportunity of this sort of thing they built in order to then sneak in the odd bit of sort of can't prove it otherwise speculative twaddle. Bielsa to Tottenham. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And I don't want to turn this into, a 40-minute tribute thing to Bielsa. But what's happening at Ellen Road, you would be, the next Tottenham manager is going to be somebody who is asked to do an implausibly ridiculous, totally crazy job. And, my brain fuses trying to work out who that might be. My 10 bob is on Rafa Benitez, and it will remain so until somebody can come up with a more coherent solution. But the idea that Bielsa is going to just be like that, they're talking about Brendan Rodgers to go to Spurs, which would be, let's face it, a step down. So he's got a club that's fundamentally set up to play good football, attacking football at Leicester City. Again, another city with a fantastic club. And how well run is Leicester City? Well, you can answer that by looking at their books, their numbers. And they run at a very small loss. Now, those are the sort of numbers that would keep Daniel Levy up at night. But City are focused on producing good football. Their priority is the football. There's no NFL games in the pipeline. There's no Guns N' Roses. There's no all this other flim-flam to make money. It's all about the football. And that's the core belief of the club. And that segues neatly into Leeds. Leeds United is all about the football. And that's what's frustrated the fans there for so long. I can't remember the guy's name now, my mind's gone blank, but the crook that used to be at Chelsea that you had. I mean, the stories I heard while I was up there, I mean, he was invoicing the club to turn up to games from Monaco, and it was costing, the club were paying £14,000 for him from his Lear jet to come from Monaco into Leeds, Bradford Airport. Just extraordinary. And all the fans wanted was for all of that nonsense to go and for the club and the city to be focused on the football. And I remember they even had ads on the back of buses. And I can't remember the specific wording, but it said, give us another chance. Because everybody had just run out. And this is where Tottenham are going. You know, and it'll never happen because I don't think that THFC operates as honourably as some other clubs do. But I can see them being advised by a public relations company. You know, you might consider what Leeds did and put on the back of a bus, give us another chance. So Bielsa isn't coming, Brendan Rodgers isn't coming, and a couple of journalists who do the old HOTSPUR away thing, there's been talk of, they said, oh yeah, we've got a short list and somebody will be appointed very soon. We've got our targets, and blah, blah, blah. You don't have any targets. To the best of my knowledge, they've not interviewed anybody yet. And this is all down to the usual fiasco with succession planning that Spurs don't do, and the day-to-day running of the club. I mentioned on the blog, I used to work with a guy a good few years ago now, and he was my boss. And by about 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning, you could hear him telling somebody, I'm fighting fires here. Now, this guy was he was throwing his own proprietary blend of gasoline on those fires, as you can imagine. But this is the situation that Levy's in right now. That, you know, he is firefighting, but they are fires of his own creation. So I guess what I'm saying, in conclusion, is that don't get distracted by crazy, unsubstantiated rumours. And when somebody mentions Bielsa or mentions Rodgers, don't be afraid to call it out for what it is. It's insulting to those clubs and it's embarrassing for us as a club. Right, I feel better for that. Good luck. I'll speak to you again. Keep it Tottenham.